Hey, Tyler Gorgeous, wanted to talk a little bit about the Ladies' War since we haven't had a whole lot of previews or documents or anything like that coming out just yet. Today we're going to show you a little bit about the terrain and the various things that we're going to have in terms of the site that you get to see. Behind me right now is the lodge. This is the large building that is in the middle of the, kind of the middle of the field between the two bases. This lodge right now has a full-size kitchen as well as it now does have flushing bathrooms. While there will still be porta potties on the site, there are going to be flushing bathrooms available. That about sums it up for the lodge. If you want to get a pan real quick of just showing the outside. So the property is about 200 acres. We won't be using all of it. Well, we will be using a pretty good amount of it, and we are allowed to use all of it. Everything from the lodge and behind it is going to wind up being non-combat. So once you hit the lodge, you're in an area where you're no longer allowed to fight, and everything behind it is not going to be combat. What we're going to be showing you next is we're going to be riding around the entirety of the property. So this video will probably be a little longer. Let's go for a ride. Say hi, Sparrow.
Hi.
All right, so first off, well, let's go ahead and keep the video the same direction. We're gonna do a nice little spin here. Woo! Yeah. All right. There are two lakes in this site. One of them is in front of me. That's the main lake, and then we do have this side lake over here. The side lake has an amphitheater that sits behind it. There will be some stuff going on in that amphitheater, and this is all combat area. If you can kind of look in the distance here, you'll see a bridgeway. It's not currently cut, but that leads behind the lake, and there are some paths behind that. Also, legal play area. Here in a second, we'll be taking a left so we can go up behind the ridge line and head to one of the bases. Give her some gas. We are now on the ridgeline. This is a combat area. This isn't behind the house or road. Where we're at, I do expect some fighting to go on because it's one of the main paths to the bases. Off to the right here, you will see a sheep pen. We do believe that will still be up. Please do not mess with the sheep. You can pet them, but, let's not fight around the sheep. This ridgeline will potentially be cut. At the moment, we are not sure if they're going to bale this or if it is still going to be grown like this when we're playing. There are pathways cut currently, and we will be cutting more of them so that there are at least paths if they do not cut it. Where we're at about right now, while it is not cut, off to my right here will be about a 50 by 50 foot square. That area will be base number 1. Whether it's Skellige or Redania, I cannot say now, but this is the first location of a base. Coming off this base will be a couple different pathways that lead down into the woods beyond. Those woods are going to be some of the encounter areas and places where objectives are. We're going to go ahead and head down this trail now towards the first part of the lake. Mind you that most of this during the night portion will not be lit, so it is a good idea to have yourself some form of personal lighting device. For the record, in this video, we will only be going down the main trails. There are a lot of offshoots where various objectives and things are going to be, but we don't plan on traveling down those with this side-by-side we're in. Here's one of our first little areas. It's a bench that's cut around. You see that we did kind of clear the area. Off to our right, there is a path that leads to a bridge, which will lead you back across the way to the main building. Down that way is actually an area that is flooded with a downed tree, so I wouldn't head that way. And then you have the path over here to the right or left, which we are taking. Some of this will be cut away, so don't worry, you won't have all this stuff over the paths when it's come time to play. Now remember, we are planning on having collectibles all throughout, so when you see areas like this, it's a good idea to look for lit up things. Most of our collectibles are going to be glow in the dark or lit up, so they should be sort of visible when you're close to them. That area back there, by the way, you can travel through it, but there's about a foot of water going around this one part, so it'll be difficult to traverse. I don't know if it'll still be that high, but I expect it to be. Again, don't worry so much about these trees that are overgrown. We are planning on cutting this in the next working weekend. Yikes. I'm only getting smacked in the face minimally, I promise. Ooh, that one felt good. Kind of in the back part now, to the back left if you were from the main building. There is a trail back here that does lead back to a creek. There are encounter things that'll happen there. Woo, another one. Duck. There it is. So that is the cut through I was talking about. That's about a foot deep. We're gonna back up so we can show you guys. It was traversable last time we were able to go through it, but at this point I'd say that water's about half a foot to a foot deep, so I wouldn't count on it being dry. That cuts through though right there. But we are now behind the lake, opposite side. As you can see, the water level is pretty high. Wow, that's actually way higher than I thought. As we are going behind it, I'm going to cut right here. You guys can see there's the main building. That's where we're located. Off to my left here, while it is not cut now, there will be a path somewhere between these trees. There should be some knockdown spots where we came through, about there. There'll be a path that leads off to the left and down. Coming up here on my right here, we're going to have another bridge. This is the other spillway. It is not flooded, and we will be using it for an encounter. You can cross that bridge. Be careful if you fight on it. Now we're going to head on back to the archery range. Bear in mind, at this point, we are probably a good at least quarter mile to a half mile away from the main building. We'll be heading down that way on our way back. There will be a path off to the left that leads back through into the other side of that ridge with some collectibles in it, potentially. Back here we've got the archery range, a nice clear area. There will be encounters going on back here. Some objectives, of course, will be located back here. Austin's going to swing us around here in the back, and I'll show you a couple of the cut-ins. These little cut-ins, I would expect to see some of the collectibles or something in them. Perhaps an encounter of creatures or NPCs as well. Alright, now we're going to swing up and we're going to go to the area that I like to call the fields. We're only at 8 minutes or 9 minutes now, by the way. Alright, off to the left here is a path with a concrete bridge. Be careful once again if you fight on top of the bridges. We just don't want anybody to get hurt. Ow. You alright? Speaking of people getting hurt.
Smack me in the ear.
You're going to see some areas cut in like this. We're planning on having objectives, potentially monsters in these areas. Now if you're running around at night, once again, kind of keep an eye on your footing, because I'll show you an area where it's going to be a little wet, almost guaranteed. It's right here, and the reason is that there's a spillway up there that kind of drains off. I don't expect a lot of water, but there could be some, so keep your eyes on the ground when you're back in these areas. This is the other side of that bridge. We're not gonna spend too much time at it. There's a cut through over there that leads alongside of the lake. There will be things that happen at that lake. Probably an encounter here, and that's the other side of that bridge that crossed from the back way behind the lake. Now we're going back up into the fields. We're gonna swing around and kind of show you what's in front of that lake first. Kind of hard to get the ATV down by where we were gonna go, so I gotta show you from this angle. So that cut through I was talking about, it actually ends out right here, and it'll spill out right here. And then from that location, you can get to these benches. That area leads down to a beach. We don't need to go to the, well, yeah, I guess we'll go back there. We'll go back there. It's gonna take us a second to turn around once we get back there. As you can see, once again, the water level is pretty high, so I wouldn't play too near the coast unless you're not afraid of getting a little wet. Well, that's an interesting way to put the tires. All right, we should be coming up on the other bench. Yes, this is the area that I consider the beach. It used to have some sand. It doesn't right now from all the rain. You're gonna need to turn around here, however you can. I'll lean in, it's cool. I'll lean in, we'll get through this. All right, we're gonna be turning around because there is a bridge over that way. We gotta cut away some of the foliage that's grown over it, but this thing won't go over that bridge. It's a manned bridge, about one person wide. Again, you're allowed to fight on the bridges. I just would keep in mind that it is an easy place to get hurt, so be cautious when you do so. I don't know if you can cut up right here, or, yeah, okay. All right. Just to tell you guys, we're not done cutting all the trails either. There will be a lot of little spots that come off where there will be like our collectibles and things. All right, back towards the fields. All right, our fields here. One, off to my left here, this is the lagoon. It's basically like sewage. Do not go into it. We'll have a little bit of caution tape over the gate part of it, but otherwise we're not really blocking it. Don't go in there. That will get you thrown from sight if you go in there. Also, it's disgusting.
And there is a fence that runs completely around the perimeter of the lagoon, so it's very easily noted what's the lagoon and what's not.
This path here will lead you to the other fort, but we're gonna go to the left to show you the other lead up to that fort because there will be a couple collectibles. Bear in mind, there are collectibles that'll be closer to each one of the forts. I'm going to make it as balanced as fair as I can, but obviously we don't have a perfectly symmetrical site, so there will be some unevenness, so you're going to have to just kind of accept that. There ain't anything I can do about it. This little path kind of leads off to the left. There's also one to the right that is an approach up to the second base. The second base is already cut. I'm hoping to make the first base look about the same, or at least as clean as these bases, because you'll be camping on them. There's going to be I believe I have Puck making me a 25 by 25 foot center keep. That is the area that'll have walls that'll house your flag. There will also be a 10 by 10 foot that marks Valhalla with our rules. I don't have those set up to make a video for them, nor will they be set up for a video, but I'll have to show you guys at the event. To our right now is the base. We're going to be driving into it, but there isn't, yeah, go ahead and take that. There isn't a cut-in. For the record, no cars will be allowed on the bases. We're going to allow kind of a drive-up location for you to drop gear off, but otherwise you won't be able to put a vehicle on these. This is base 2. This is how manicured the bases will be so that you know the camping areas are actually pretty clean. At this time, I haven't talked to the site owners about fires. We're probably going to limit the camps to a couple of fire pits, and that's it. I'm going to talk to Tom here in a little bit so we can get that clarified. This tree line that runs along the road, bring it up, that is the non-combat, non-game area. When you hit that line, you are no longer part of the game area. Please do not fight beyond it. We're going to have a couple more lanes that cut over to the main base in that grass. Currently, this little path that leads off to the left, the owner is digging a water reserve for the winter. There's going to be caution tape around the areas you can't play in. Same with over there, there's a gravesite if you want to cut it for a second. That is a graveyard. You need to stay out of that graveyard. It's not anywhere near the play area. There's no reason anyone should be near it. If anyone is caught inside of the graveyard, it is an immediate ejection from the site and 6-month suspension from the kingdom. Just FYI. We are, of course, in the non-combat zone, but I'm showing you kind of a view from the side here. You can go by fast, it doesn't matter. It's going to be a little windier since we're moving fast, but as you can see, it's kind of an area to cross to get to the main building. There's quite a bit to walk. And that about sums up our play area coming into that. The other thing to show you guys is the cabins. They're off to the left when you first come in. Cabins at this time are reserved for specific staff. We're also going to have the second cabin be for medical, so if you have a CPAP machine or electrical needs or a medical need to be outside in nature, you need to get in contact with me as soon as possible so that I can make sure you have beds reserved. We have bug bombed the cabins. We're cleaning the cabins out. They'll be clean places to sleep. The bathhouse at current is not operational. We will have some flagging tape over the front to remind folks not to go in it, but essentially it is an off area zone. Please don't go in it. Here's some of the sheep. They are around the place. I don't know if they're gonna let them roam during this, but if you see the sheep, basically try to keep fighting away from them. Apparently they are attracted to people, so if they come up to you, feel free to pet them, but let you know, they're not dangerous, but they might approach you. And we are pulling back up to the site. Once again, if you've got any questions, you can send them my way, but that was a little tour of what we have to work with.